And we're live. What's going on, everybody? What is going on? Welcome to Exposing Powerful Lies. Just got out of work. It was a hot day today. I got my little rag with water on it. Very hot day today. I raced home. Who knows, dude? Who knows if any of the Ortho Bros are going to be awake at this late hour? But we're going to do it regardless. Whether there's one or whether there's 100, we're going to get at it. I've been wanting to do this stream for a long time. Since this video we're going to watch was released, I've been wanting to do this. But honestly, for the last couple of months, when I would have a show idea come up, I'd go, I'll wait. Well, we're not waiting any longer, dude. We're getting at it. Thank you all so much for being here. Please like and share. Welcome to Exposing Powerful Lies. We'll be right back in a moment. All right. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Exposing Powerful Lies, dude. We're back. We've been going so hard this week, dude. I swear, I do YouTube in the way that the algorithm absolutely hates. Everything that you're not supposed to do, I do. I'll go a month and a half without doing a stream, and then I will stream every day for 5 days straight. YouTube hates us. Every single time I do a frickin' show, we lose subscribers, and that's okay. That's okay, because we've never done this for the numbers. We never did this to be successful on YouTube. Obviously, we want to be successful. I want this channel to do well, of course. But it's not about that, dude. It's not about that. It's like I've told you guys since the beginning. What you think matters. What you say matter. When you're talking to another human being, it matters. What you say, what you believe, what your opinions are, has a ripple effect, and it affects the people around you, and that's why it's very important. And so when I do a show like this, you might wonder, well, why does he keep doing it? Why does Seraphim keep doing this? He's doing a stream. There's only 2 people in the chat, dude. There's only 2 people watching. Why would he do this? Because I look at it like real life, right? If I'm talking to one person in real life, I think that that's valuable. I think that that matters. And so hopefully I can do something good. I can point the way to something good. And that's always been the goal with this channel, is to point the way towards the truth that I've been lucky enough to find. Because as one rescued out of suffering, from the brink of hell, from the brink of despair, God was able to scoop me up and bring me to a place of healing and of betterment. I hope in my broken and sinful way to be able to do that for somebody out there. Now tonight, I'm a little scared, y'all. I'm a little scared about this topic. I'm a little scared about this subject. Like I said before the intro song, I wanted to do this for a while. Now, those of you who have been with us here on Exposing Powerful Lies for a while know that we did cover Tucker Carlson a while back, and not only did they copyright strike our stream, but they actually pulled our stream for playing a clip from his show. So for a year now, we've operated under the assumption that you cannot show clips of Tucker Carlson. And that's been frustrating for me, because there was a bunch of times where he did great shows, and I wanted to cover it. I wanted to do watch-alongs. I wanted to do streams where we talk about it and analyze it. But I'm like, well, it's Tucker. We can't do it. We can't do it. And then maybe 2 months ago, Tucker Carlson had on Russell Brand. And Russell Brand was doing his sad and cringe facsimile of a Christian. And I clicked over to Made by Jim Bob. Shouts out to Made by Jim Bob, our homie. I clicked over to his stream, and he was doing a full analysis, full watch-along breakdown. And I'm like, what is this? Tucky pulled my stream. He pulled my stream, but Jim Bob can do it? Well, if it's good enough for Jim Bob, surely we can do it. So I'm a little scared. I don't know if we can do this right now, but we're going to try. And if the screen goes black, well, then just know that's why. Also, we've had some technology issues. We've had some internet hiccups the last couple of streams, so bear with us here on that. I want to be as charitable as humanly possible. The goal here is not to point at the Protestant worldview and be like, nana, 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 your Christianity isn't as good as ours. Ours is better. Ha ha. It's not about that. It's about the fact that in America right now, or even if you're not in America, if you're in Canada, if you're in the UK, in the Western world right now, things aren't going so great. We're facing some serious problems, okay? Some serious problems. Now, America's a Protestant country, so you might be wondering, where are the Protestants? While Islam spreads across the country and hoovers up all of the naive amongst us, and all of the honest and sincere truth seekers amongst us, looking for tradition, looking for something ancient, looking for the truth, looking for beauty, Islam is just sucking these people up into their crazy cult. Liberalism, feminism, all of these things just sucking these people up. And it's like, where's the Protestants? This is a Protestant country. Shouldn't they be fighting this fight? Well, it's actually that Protestant worldview and paradigm which has allowed this to happen. And there are much better people than myself, my slow boy self, to explain the sort of fundamental flaws of the Protestant paradigm and worldview and why it just is not equipped to deal with Islam, liberalism, or anything, because of that epistemology problem they have, where they literally just cannot say, this is bad, this is good, this is true, this is false, this is Christian, this is not Christian. Well, what do you mean, Jerry? They can say that. Well, they can say that, but it literally is just, 'cause it's my opinion. This is Christian and this is not Christian because it's my opinion that it's that way. That doesn't work. That doesn't work on anybody who doesn't care what your opinion is. And so my godfather, Reader Paul, he took down his channel, I believe, or he at least stopped making his channel because he's in seminary. Glory to God. But I don't know if you can still go out and watch his videos. Maybe we should look into that. But he did a video called Fatal Epistemology. Great breakdown of that. It's a problem to not be able to point to the Mormons and say, they're not Christian. You know what I mean? That's a problem, dude. If you can't say Mormons aren't Christian, You know, a universalist Unitarians are not Christian with any sort of like objective basis for that. That's a serious problem as we face all sorts of attacks in this country from demonic cult things. Yo, what's up, Jethro? Good to see you, homeboy. He says, "Hooty hoo! What's up, Jethro? Jerry, it windy up there. Don't be like Blair Witch and scaring us while you riff. And is it bad? Please let me know if the audio is really bad. I'm trying my best here. We got the tarps up, but we are on the porch, so cut me some slack here. But hopefully y'all can hear me. I'm trying to keep the mic a little bit away from my mouth, so you guys don't have to listen to me breathing all day. Anyways, before we get into the videos that we want to get into today, speaking of cigarettes, everybody's talking about cigarettes. I just wanted to share something with you. Okay, and this was on my Instagram story today.
Have been smoking for 45 years and they're living a healthy life, and they say it's because I smoke. And obviously we laugh about it because we all agree that it's not true. So why did this one case move you so?
Actually, let me stop you right there. Probably it's because he smoked that he's doing so well.
Okay, we need to back up. How do we get there?
What have I been saying?
Well, I have a whole chapter in Gut Check looking at the healthiest, longest living people. And one of the unique features of most of the blue zones is that particularly the men are heavy smokers. And the smoking, actually the nicotine in cigarettes, is one of the best mitochondrial uncouplers that's ever been discovered.
What have I been saying? Am I vindicated? Okay, listen, if I had to listen to people tell me why I need to wear a mask because Anthony Fauci said so, then I'm going to use this random dude on the internet who says he's a doctor, who says he's a heart surgeon, to tell you guys that I was right. Vindicated. Simply put, vindicated.
And we've looked at this through the wrong lens. We said, wow, what other healthy lifestyle things are these guys doing that's preventing smoking from harming them? In fact, we should have looked at it the other way. What is it about these people who are smokers that allows them to live to 105, 110 years old? And when you do that,
it's that they watch Exposing Powerful Lies, of course.
Then you say, okay, smoking was good for them. Why don't we see the oxidative stress that smoking, we all know, occurs? Why don't we see the cancers in these people? And it's because the rest of their diet facilitates the absorption of the oxidative stress in these guys.
So your state is that if you smoke but eat in this specific way, you can negate the effects of smoking, the negative.
Does Coca-Cola apply to that?
Yeah, what's fascinating as a heart surgeon, way back in the good old days, most of our patients were smokers. And they had specific proximal lesions in their coronary arteries. The rest of their blood vessels were absolutely gorgeous, and they were skinny for the most part. So
how did you gauge that? Did you?
Random guy on the internet says it, therefore must be true. All I wanted to say, guys, that's all I wanted to say. You could take my word for it, or you could take the guy on the internet who says he's a doctor's word for it. I'm not making any claims here, okay? I'm not making any claims. I'm just saying that I think there could be something to that. Yeah, Jerry just ate 2 cookies and a Coke. Yeah, I know. Just like slowly sipping. This helps oxidative stress too, right? Anyways, so like I said, we're hoping that we'll be able to do this show. We're hoping that we'll be able to show these clips and to show why the Protestant paradigm is not equipped to deal with these things. Because look, I love Tucker Carlson. I love watching his stuff, and it's always nice to see somebody who's sincere and is trying their best to, stand for the truth and to fight for the truth and to be a Christian voice out there. I think it's kind of funny, though. I don't know, maybe you guys have seen this in your own lives, but a lot of the Protestants I know, ironically enough, will not even call themselves Christian these days. They'll call themselves Bible believers, Jesus followers, Really, those are the 2 main things I've heard. And the thing is, it's ironic because in their mind they're going, well, there's so many thousands and thousands of different types of Christians out there, and so we want to differentiate ourselves by saying, no, we follow Jesus. We read the Bible and we follow the Bible. And it's ironic because, as an Orthodox, you're like, well, yeah, you're not Christian, technically speaking. Yeah, you're kind of not Christian. To be a Christian is like being united mystically to Christ and his church. So it's that sort of irony of like, yeah, you're kind of right. You know what I mean? It's sort of poetic justice in a way, and I say that with all love and charity and kindness. It's like, isn't it kind of funny, you know? But anyways, so you'll watch Tucker Carlson and you'll watch him have these conversations, and a lot of time he has great conversations, and he talks about how, you know, it's important, faith is important, Jesus is important, and then you'll see him do an interview with a Roman Catholic or with a New Age wee woo freaking goober, or you'll watch him talk to somebody that is just like saying something that is completely contrary to Christianity, and Tucker's like nodding along, like, yeah, yeah. He doesn't realize that it's completely incompatible with Christianity, and because he has that Protestant worldview and paradigm, he literally doesn't even realize that like what you are being told and what this person is saying literally fundamentally is opposed to the teachings of Christ. And so through this show that we're going to watch today, if I can avoid the June bugs flying in my hair, I hope to illustrate using Tucker Carlson why why it's just inept. It is toothless. It is a toothless, fangless Christianity that has no basis in objective truth to be able to say this is wrong, you know? Because when you talk to a Protestant in real life, they'll say, I believe in Jesus. I believe Jesus is God. I believe the Bible. But it doesn't take very much prodding or pushing or talking to get them to the point where they'll just openly acknowledge, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe Jesus isn't God. Maybe it's not true. You know? I don't know. Nobody really knows. It really does not take much effort to get that out of them. And it's just sad because that's not Christianity. And that's not real Christianity is not weak like that. We can actually make the case, we can make the claim, and we can say this is what Christ teaches, this is what it is, as opposed to the other stuff out there. So let's just get right to it. Now the very first clip that we're going to show is from this little interview that he did with this little hussy from the New York Times. And it was kind of funny. Yo, what's up, nub? Yo, what's up, nub raw? He says, go to sleep. You go to sleep, bro. I just got home from work, dog. Now, it's kind of funny because he's talking to this New York Times, whatever she is, liberal. I have no idea. And she goes, oh, you called Trump the antichrist. And you can see as soon as Tucker came out sort of harshly against Trump, like now the New York Times wants to talk to him. Oh, goody. Tucker jumped off the Trump train. Let's get him over on our side. All right, we're buffering. I gotta wait for the buffering. Anyways, so she goes, you called Trump the Antichrist. And Tucker goes, I didn't say that. I wouldn't say that. I would never say that. And then they just show the clip of him saying it. It was actually a pretty sick burn, dude. Pretty funny own. But this is the main clip I wanted to show today, was just Tucker's inability to even say what the Antichrist is, and just to say, well, I don't know. I have no clue. And I think that's kind of sad. And one example from my own life was I was talking with a family member, and I forget what we were exactly talking about. I forget exactly what the impetus of the conversation was, but we start talking, and I had mentioned something about, you know, Jesus being fully God and fully man, and that being like an important thing that we believe. And this Protestant person I'm talking to goes, well, he was a man. He's not a man now. And I was like, what? I never even heard somebody say that before. I'm like, what? What do you mean? Like that? What do you mean he's not a man now? Well, he became a man, but he's not a man anymore. And this was just like an assumed belief that he had. I'm like, that kind of sounds like heresy, dude. It kind of sounds bad, you know? Like, at what point did Jesus, after the incarnation, after the resurrection, after, you know, the ascension, did his body just like fall from the sky? Don't need this anymore, you know? But we get to talking, and eventually it leads to, well, I don't know, nobody knows, and if anybody says they know, they're wrong or they're lying. And that just like made me very sad in my heart, because for a large portion of these people, they truly don't think that like these answers are out there. They don't think that there is actually adequate answers to a lot of like fundamental theological questions, and that is just sad. Anyways, let's get to it. This is the clip we're going to play at normal speed, and then maybe some of the other ones we'll do 2x speed.
Which is, there's the political case against Trump that you make. But I do want to ask you about the moral case that you've been making as well. And that's a word that you've used. You know, in that monologue responding to Trump's Easter post, you said that Trump's comments were evil. And I just want to understand that a little bit better. Do you think only his comments are evil, or does the evil extend to Trump himself? Is he evil?
I just want to be really clear that there's a lot of evil in me and in every person. So I just don't want to, and I've certainly experienced it in myself, and I've seen it in all people. You know, we're all capable of evil. So I want to pull back on the judgment and be very precise about what I was saying, which is you cannot mock other people's gods and put yourself in their place, period. That is a deal killer for me. That's worse than the war with Iran, in my opinion.
So Tucker's been on this kick where he's like, "Oh, it's wrong to mock Islam. It's wrong to mock, you know, any other religion because people worship that God and faith is important." And I just don't agree with that. I think it's perfectly okay to say that Islam is nonsense. It's stupid. It's false. It's not true. And I'm not saying that like every Christian should be focused on, you know, like, go out there and just, you know, mock and act all unchristian like. But I just fundamentally disagree with this idea that, like, well, because people believe it, it's like, it's sacred, it's precious. And this whole sort of like ecumenist idea of like, oh, we all just hold hands and sing Kumbaya. Like, dude, no. You can't make peace with this evil, dude. Islam is evil. It's not something beautiful that should be protected. You know, we should let millions of Muslims into this country and just like celebrate their diversity, celebrate their beautiful religion. No, no, we shouldn't.
Yeah. But I ask because, you know, you've been talking on your show about whether Trump is the Antichrist.
I have not said that.
On your show, the day after Easter, you noted he did not put his hand on the Bible during his swearing-in ceremony as president. You said, and I'm quoting, maybe he didn't put his hand on the Bible because he affirmatively rejects what's inside that book. And then on a recent show, you went further saying, here's a leader who's mocking the gods of his ancestors, mocking the God of gods and exalting himself above them. Could this be the Antichrist?
I actually did not say, could this be the Antichrist? Here's a leader who's mocking the gods of his ancestors, mocking the God of gods, and exalting himself above them. Could this be the Antichrist?
She literally quotes him word for word. That's kind of funny, dude. I don't care. I like Tucker, but that's hilarious.
Well, who knows? I don't know where that comes from, but I know that those words never left my lips because I'm not sure I fully understand what the Antichrist is. If there's just one, I actually tried to understand it. I may have said some are asking that. I'm not weighing in on that because I don't understand it. And just to be totally
in
clear.
Revelations, obviously, the Antichrist is named in different
yeah,
ways.
and not just Revelation, but throughout the New Testament, there are references and in the prophets as well. So, but no, I'm not speculating about that. I know that people are speculating about that, but I would say it's enough to acknowledge that Trump, like many leaders through history, is putting himself above God. But even on a more terrestrial level, like to send out a picture of yourself as Jesus has got to be a red line for Christians. How could it not be? It has to be. And I wish that Christians would speak up when he attacks Allah, when he mocks the faith of Muslims.
So to be clear, though, that was not what you were suggesting.
If I thought Trump was the Antichrist, I would just say so. If I understood what the Antichrist is, I would say so. And I don't really. I mean, I guess
it's not a good look, Tucker. It's not a good look, dude. You literally did say that. It's kind of sad. He's like, I don't even know what the Antichrist is. Really? Like, I understand if you're saying like I'm not fully, like, nobody's fully versed on exactly all the dynamics of the end of the world and how that's all going to play out, of course. But to just say like, I don't even know what the Antichrist is. What even is that? Is just one more example of like just the ineptitude of Protestantism to be able to like have a firm teaching or doctrine on anything. It's like, how about this? Antichrist is the spirit that's in the world which seeks to usurp Christ and put itself in its place. There you go. There you go. Was that really hard? Was that difficult to say?
Literally, it's
Because you've been discussing it repeatedly on your show, so I'm just trying to understand
why.
why.
What I've tried to
I mean, what do you
about,
want your audience to sort of
I want my
be
audience
considering?
to see what's happening now in terms beyond just material. Obviously, the commodity flow through the Strait of Hormuz is, essential to the global economy. Got it. But I also think there is a world beyond our senses. Every culture and civilization has understood that from the beginning of time, and we're in this weird anomalous moment where we've been trained not to think that, but it's real. And this is a realization that's dawning on me. I mean, I wasn't thinking like this at all until several years ago. So I don't want to pretend that I'm a shaman or anything like that. I just want to make the point repeatedly, again and again and again, that there are unseen forces that act. There is a spiritual realm, and we are subject to those forces for good and bad.
And so whenever Tucker is like talking about this kind of stuff, it always comes to this like vague spiritual forces, this sort of vague thing, this ecumenist sort of vibe to it where it's like, yeah, I mean, like we all sort of get it and we all have our different ways of expressing it. Islam expresses it in one way. The Hindus who are throwing feces at each other, they express it in another way. And then, us Anglos over here, in America, we have our Christian thing. But it's all kind of the same thing. And that's how you get Muslims invading your whole country, setting up mosques everywhere, and hoovering up all the naive women in your country, dude. Like, it's crazy what's going on. I got personal stories I could tell y'all. It's just very sad. It's not this sort of like wishy-washy, oh, who knows? Christianity is a strong position that has actual teachings on these things that you can present in contrast with these sort of pagan religions, which destroy them. We watched Jay and Jim Bob and DPH and all these guys just destroy these other positions, Islam and Gnosticism and all these things. But the Protestant is this like limp-wristed, like, it's all fine, really. I mean, we're all just sort of spiritual beings. Get out of here, dude. It's like you're taking something as strong and true and beautiful as Christianity and making it like a joke, dude. Making it a joke. Birds Aren't Even Real says got a real Freemason vibe about them. Dude, it's tough. I mean, so one of the clips we got to show, actually, I don't really have any more clips. We just have other Tucker streams to play, is the one that he just released, I think today, with Sean Stone. And Sean Stone's like this like freaking new age talking about raising vibration stuff. And and Tucker mentioned how there was like a Freemason lodge like 100 feet from him, and they actually talk about Freemasonry and stuff. So it's funny that you say that. I don't think Tucker's a Freemason. I just think that he's a perfect example of why Protestantism just ain't it. It just doesn't. It doesn't come to the standard that this country needs the faith to be. Like, we need a strong Christianity. We need a firm foundation. We need actual polemics against these evil forces in our country. That's, what Christianity just on its basis can do. We don't need people in the streets carrying Orthodox crosses, like warring with the Muslims. Just having that firm faith would help tremendously. Jason says Masonry equals accolades and shiny pendants. Boy Scouts for men. 100%. Yeah, what's up, Marilyn? She says YouTubes, you know what I mean. Oh, did Marilyn wipe our YouTube chat? Dude, we've been having internet problems for a while, dude. The YouTube chat keeps refreshing over here too. We going through buffering zones, so I'm just hoping it all works out. And I wanted to say this in the beginning of the stream. Look, I'm an Orthodox layman. I'm a sinner. I am a broken person. I do not represent Christianity. I smoke cigarettes. I'm evil. I'm a bad, evil person. Okay, so I'm not sitting here trying to elevate myself. Everybody knows how sinful I am. I'm just trying to comment and share and talk about things. Every time I do a stream, as per my spiritual father's guidance, I say a prayer. I ask God to not let me embarrass the Orthodox faith, not let me lead people astray. Set a guard about my mouth, right, and a lock on my lips. Let me to help somebody, to say the right things, give me the words to say, and so I hope to be able to do that. But if I misspeak, or if you're watching this and you go, oh, he represents orthodoxy, I don't represent orthodoxy. I am a person that has had a YouTube channel since 2019. I just happen to be an Orthodox Christian, and I'm hoping to use my voice and my things to say to just sort of bring up some points, maybe give you some food for thought. There it goes. It just refreshed again, dude. Just refreshed again. All right, I'll play a little bit more of this, but I really want to get going to some of our other videos today.
And I don't think that any person can deny that.
I just want to make the point that you did say, could this be the Antichrist? And then you said, well, who knows? You did use those words. So,
man, then my apologies to you if there's video of me saying that. I guess what I'm expressing to you is it doesn't reflect exactly how I feel. That suggests a precision that I haven't arrived at. Trump is the Antichrist. Well, you'd have to define, I mean, we're sort of quibbling here, but you'd have to define Antichrist, and I know that I can't define Antichrist.
You said
and
it,
it's
bro.
not clearly defined in the New Testament or Old Testament.
So you're open to the possibility?
I think what we're seeing is evil. Like, are you allowed to kill people who've committed no crime? No. Super simple. You're not allowed to do that. Under no moral standard is that allowable. All of a sudden it's allowable. It's allowable in Gaza, and our leaders are like, yeah, no, it's just totally fine. It's not fine. But it's repugnant to the Christian understanding of the world and the human soul. Every person has a soul. That's the Christian view, and not just the Christian view, it's the Islamic view too. So, and it's my view.
It's just frustrating. His whole perspective just would be a whole lot stronger, and he could actually make some solid points if he had, like, somebody other than himself to analyze and interpret the Bible. And so that was sort of the point of pulling that up, was just to say, look, when you're the only person that has to analyze these things, then you will arrive at this insane point, which is to be like, I don't even know what the Antichrist is. Oh, who knows? Who knows? Antichrist, what's that? All right, so then we've got this. I'm gonna kick this up to 2x speed, or maybe to 1.5 speed. We're switching topics here. This is going to be another example of Tucker really just, also this is mainly just going to be talking about the Roman Catholics, so I'm going to be throwing a little shade, throwing a little smoke at the Roman Catholics right now, okay? So Protestants, don't feel bad. You're not the only ones in the crosshairs, but this is one thing that really bugs me, is the Roman Catholics have these exorcists, these priests who go on YouTube and they do these interviews where they talk about their exorcisms that they do. And it's just so cringe, dude. And it's just full of these, like, Hollywood tropes. And you're just watching this like, this guy's just a pathological liar. This is just some dude who just is a pathological liar. And he's sitting here talking about, and the demons speak in Latin, and they levitate off the table. And it's like, dude, it's just, oh my gosh, dude. The Latin Papist Church has just got problems, bro.
You realize that the first miracle that Jesus performs in the Gospel of Mark is casting out demons, and then he repeats that continuously and commissions the apostles to do the same. And casting out demons is not just this random thing. It is central to the Gospels.
That's right. 23% of the Gospels are actually about Christ dealing with demons. So, and this is why when Christians,
it's just unbelievable. How did I not know that?
Yeah, well, and a lot of the Christians will just say, well, I believe in God, but I don't necessarily believe in the devil. And you're like, well, do you believe in Scripture? Well, yeah. Well, then how can you not believe that this is one of the primary missions of Christ, was to save us from them ultimately?
Well, when he sends the disciples, I mean, of course, this is your life. This is also new to me. I'm just shocked by it. When he sends them out, it's like, preach the good news and cast out demons.
Yes, that's right.
Like, that's the mission.
That's right.
So before we get into what.
Okay, so casting out demons. Jethro says, give us chipmunk speed, Jerry. Chipmunk speed, go! Ludicrous speed. Casting out demons, right? Well, we can think about, what are demons? And when we talk about demons, we have all of this baggage that we bring to this discussion, whether it's Hollywood, right? The Exorcist. Whether it's our preconceived ideas of what is a demon, a little red guy, a guy in red pajamas with horns and a pitchfork who sticks you in the butt with the pitchfork. When we talk about demons in the Orthodox context, we're talking about bodiless, right? Bodiless creatures, angels, spirits, the spirits of the air, whispering in your ear, setting traps for you, trying to pull you off into passions, laying down temptations and to cast out a demon, right? A guy comes into the church and he's full of all these problems. He's addicted to pornography. He's addicted to lust and to all of these bad things. And he goes to the church and he throws himself, he prostrates before Christ. And he says, I am broken, heal me. And Christ is able to lift these things off of him. Casting out demons. It's that simple. It's not to say demons aren't literally real. It's not to say it's all just a metaphor. It's to say this is how it literally happens. This is how it literally happens that demons are cast out. It's not that, well, we have to make it this Hollywood-esque thing where people are levitating and puking up pea soup on your face and are speaking in Latin to make all of the secular people, whoa, this is crazy, dude. This is so cool. This is so interesting, And I feel like a lot of the Roman Catholic perspective on this is sort of like trying to put myself in like the priest's shoes who go around and do these sort of like I'm trying to think what's the word provocative interviews where they say all these like crazy stories. Is I feel almost like in their mind they think like, well, it's okay to fib, it's okay to lie a little bit because we're getting people into Christianity, so it's like it's okay. I'm just going to make it up. And I think really it is like a pathological lie thing where they just really believe it. Sort of like a Pentecostal where it's like, I really believe this. And so I'm going to make it so. And you know what? Even though there's that little part inside of me that goes, this is all BS. I'm just making this up. I just got to ignore that voice. I just got to have faith in my delusion. I just have to trust that my delusion's real. And that's faith. And I'm going to stick to it. And I feel like that's sort of what we get with some of these exorcists, is that on one hand, it's like they're just making stuff up and then they're convincing themselves to believe it. And on the other hand, they're probably making stuff up consciously and being like, it's worth it. It's for a good cause. It's like some Machiavellian thing. But it's frustrating because it takes something that's real, that's serious, like the demonic, and it makes it into this like sideshow. Makes it into this like it's a joke. What's up, Mr. Westford? Good to see you, brother.
You've spent the last decades doing, casting out demons. How is it that the modern church, at least in the United States, at least the Protestant churches in the United States, have so de-emphasized this to the point where it's disappeared? I think there's a historical reason behind that. So if you, and it's not just here like in the United States, it's actually in the West in general, Christian West specifically. And basically it had to do with the advent of psychology. So when psychology came on board, it became in vogue, especially in the 50s and in the 60s, to just think that, that all these people's problems were just purely psychological. I mean, there are psychological issues that very much look like that. But the fact is that, so they just started talking about...
I'm glad he mentioned psychology. I actually want to talk about this because, so I've told you guys a million times, stay away from the Orthodox Facebook groups, okay? Stay away from them. They're bad. I've been in them for a while, and every once in a while I'll make a comment, but usually I'm just lurking. I'm keeping my eye on it, just for fodder to talk about, or, food for thought, things like that. And as Orthodoxy grows, as more people in America discover the true church, they come into the church. Like our video the other day where I talked about how there is this temptation where we enter the church and we want to bring our garbage into the church. We want to change the church instead of being changed by the church. As Orthodoxy grows and more people come in, there's going to be a lot more of this sort of like, whether it's a feminist or whether it's a liberal dude or whether it's all of this stuff, they come into the church and they don't want to drop it and they want to sort of merge it with the Orthodox faith. And one like good example of this, or something interesting that I saw from one of these groups, is that there was a post where this lady was talking about how I've worked in reproductive care for 20 years. I've been helping homosexual couples conceive test tube babies and in vitro and all this stuff. This is my job for years. And I'm a catechumen now, and I've discovered the Orthodox faith, and now I'm extremely conflicted. And I don't know whether I should stay in the industry and try to, help the ethics of it, from a Christian's perspective, or whether I should just, drop it and leave and repent completely of it. We got a plane hanging. right? And that's like a good example of somebody coming into the church and they've had like all of this sort of, this modern life experience that now are seeing this is not compatible with the Christian faith, and trying to wrestle with that with their priest and getting other people's opinions on it. And then you've got the other side, which is like people coming in with this psychobabble, Freudian psychology talk, and they're instantly wanting to write off the demonic, and they're instantly wanting to write off demons, and everything's schizo, everything's psychosis disorder, everything's all these things. And as soon as somebody makes a post where they're like, hey, I'm having this temptation, I'm having this thought, I'm having this intrusive thought, there's like all these wine moms commenting under it. That sounds like psychosis. You need to get to the doctor right now. That sounds like experimental psychosis disorder, and like if you're having an impairment, they have medication for that, and it will really help you. And this is something that I'm seeing more and more and more on these groups, and it's just a little worrying because it's like, okay, all right, yeah, get yourself on a bunch of medication because you're having intrusive thoughts. Right, that's orthodox, dude. Yeah, just drug it up, dude. Just slap the Band-Aid on, just drug yourself into oblivion, because that's definitely not the demonic. That's definitely, you're just insane, bro. You're just crazy.
And that's one of the reasons why in the United States, before the 1960s, the number of dioceses, that is the Catholic diocese that had an exorcist, was fairly high. I mean, every major diocese would have one. But then it started to decline precisely based upon that thinking. But then over the course of time, they began to realize, well, look, there's certain things we're seeing that are not psychological, and so they can't be explained in that way, and people needed the help. And so now the bishops are coming a little bit more up to speed in that regard.
Well, yeah, after 100 years of Freud, we still can't identify what schizophrenia is. It does make you realize, at the very least, there are things we don't understand that could very well be supernatural. Yeah. So that does make you wonder about the origins of psychology, though. I mean, if the net effect was to eliminate people's belief in something real, which is demonic possession, then...
Yeah. Well, I think that was only one aspect of it. I think that the real goal of a lot of the psychologists, which is in the literature, is that many of them are atheists. They just didn't believe in God, and so they wanted to eliminate any concept of anything supernatural, or what we call preternaturals, which is the demons are preternatural. They're not supernatural. God is the one that's supernatural, but we tend to talk that way. Although sometimes people will just say supernatural, thinking about demons in that way too.
Can you, for the ignorant like me, explain the difference between preternatural and supernatural?
So supernatural is those things which are above anything that is created, and that pertains to God. Whereas preternatural comes from the Latin word praeter natura, which means aside from nature. So that would be things that are above what we experience as human beings in this world, but it's not supernatural because it's not God. It's kind of in that in-between state, which is what the demons are. But they're still considered natural in the sense of they have a specific nature that God created them with. They're created beings, and they actually have a natural law. They have all that. They're structured to think in certain patterns in certain ways. So it's kind of a middle tier, but it's preternatural. Supernatural would be something like...
Sorry, I'm falling asleep.
Can't cause miracles, for example. But they can cause things that to us as human beings are outside our normal experience, and so it looks miraculous, but it's actually not. It's something that they can do on their own.
So I guess the good news about that distinction is they're not all powerful.
No, they're not. In fact, demons are one of the most regulated things in the universe, really.
Cringe incoming in 3, 2, 1. Cringe incoming. Cringe alert. Cringe alert.
Because, and they're regulated by three things. One, as I mentioned, their natural law, their nature. They're structured a specific way. The second thing is once the demons made their choice, their will became fixed in a specific way. This is one of the reasons why when you deal with them as an exorcist, they almost seem obsessive compulsive. So even when it goes bad for them, they'll still tend towards that thing.
This gives major Pentecostalist vibes, dude. This gives major, like, I was sitting with God the other day. I was sitting down at the coffee table, and I was having coffee with God the other day, and God told me, Seraphim, we really got to cut back those cigarettes, dude. You're smoking too many cigarettes. And I said, God, really? Do I really need to do that? And God said, yeah, bud. Yeah, bud. But don't worry, I'm here for you. And I said, God, really, you're here for me? And he said, yeah, bud, I'm here for you. I'm here for you every step of the way. I got you. Let Jesus take the wheel. Let Jesus take the butt. And I said, God, you're a good pal, dude. You're a really good pal. This is giving major vibes of like, yeah, I was sitting with the demons, dude. And like the demons, they're almost like OCD, bro. Like the demons, like, dude, they wear gloves everywhere. Like, Howie Mandel? Demons are basically like Howie Mandel, dude. They just like, they count to 100 like every 5 seconds, dude. Is crazy. The demons are crazy.
Chose the sin that they committed, and so they're very their tendency is towards that, so they're fixed by that. And then the main thing is, if you remember in the Gospels, Christ says to the apostles before he ascends, he said, all power was given to me in heaven and earth. All power. That means the demons even know that they can't do anything without Christ's permission. So in the spiritual warfare landscape, we know, and this is, as an exorcist, it actually brings me a lot of confidence because I don't have to worry about if it turns into the type of thing where I get shellacked a little bit during a session or whatever the case is, then I know Christ is still controlling and metering how much.
Yeah, when the demons demon throws a mean haymaker at me right in the noggin, and I'm just like, oh, he got me. I just remember, God's got power, dude. God's got way more power than these demons. They're shellacking me. They're getting me good.
What he can and cannot do. And we know this too, because if you remember, you made the mention of it before when they asked, the demons actually approached Christ to ask to go into the pigs.
I was just thinking that exactly on the other side of the lake.
Yeah, so they can't even enter into the pigs without his permission. And so nothing they do can occur without their permission. So Christ has...
Tucker's loving it, dude. Yes, tell me more. Tell me more. I love this. It's so sensational. It's so sensational. It's just like the movies, dude. Tell me more. I love this.
Complete control over the spiritual landscape, the spiritual battle. He has complete control over it. And so they know what they can and cannot do. The first time that actually really occurred to me was I had this one case where this demon, because when they take possession, unless it's a perfect possession, but if it's a partial possession, they take possession of a part of the body. And from there, they can affect the rest of the person. And so the demon was possessing this woman's lower back. And I commanded him to tell me, why are you possessing that?
The demon gave this woman gout, dude. He was right in her big toe. And I was like, ma'am, that big toe, you got a demon in there. That big toe is going to have to go. I'm going to drop this back to 1x speed because I feel like we really got to soak up the cringe here. I feel like we're skipping ahead too much, and this is cringe that is worthy of 1x speed. But yeah, the demon was living in her lower back, dude. It set up shop. It had like a little what's the word? Bungalow. It had a little bungalow in her lower back, dude. She was having backaches, and I was like, "Oh, your back hurts? Oh, that's definitely a demon. You're going to definitely need a official Latin Papist Roman Catholic exorcist to come and deal with that. That will be $5,000, please."
Party says, I don't know. So I commanded him, why not? What do you mean you don't know? And he said, when I entered, Christ restricted me to this part of the body. And that's when it made me realize he has control over everything. When they can manifest, how long they can manifest, the kind of manifestation they can actually do, how they can attack the person that's possessed, how they can attack us, even in our ordinary temptations and things like that, and in other ways. He regulates all of it, ultimately. And then you begin to realize, too, over the course...
Dude, the cringe is so real, dude. It's so
course of time, it's ultimately for our spiritual...
David Atlas says, holy acupuncture. Yo, this is the holy chiropractor, dude. It's the church of the sacred chiropractor. Oh my gosh, dude, it's so rough. It's so rough, dude. I can't take it. I can't take Roman Catholics.
benefit.
The experience is for our spiritual benefit.
Yes.
I believe that.
Oh yeah, I totally believe that. I totally believe that God is letting a demon just punch this poor old lady in the back, giving her spinal bifida for her salvation.
Okay. So what are, if you don't mind, we can just start at the beginning, big picture. What are demons?
So, actually, according to Pseudo Dionysius...
Have you seen Keanu Reeves in The Devil's Advocate? You know, Al Pacino? Good film, dude. Good film. That's basically what they are. That's basically what the devil is. Like, just go watch The Devil's Advocate. Like, have you seen The Ninth Gate, dude? Yo, let me just make like a bunch of Hollywood references, dude. Have you seen like that one movie with that like scary demon guy who's talking in Latin? Like, did you see The Exorcist? That's basically a documentary, bro.
Then also Thomas Aquinas, and then pretty much the whole theological tradition from that time, from Dionysius on, basically held that in the very
Jethro, yes, I'm a fan of man.
Beginning, when God created, what he did is he created the entire hierarchy of angels instantaneously, all at once. And these angels were all the angels were created, and Thomas Aquinas talks about what they call the three instances of the angels. So when they were first created, how they understand things is the opposite of ours. So
if y'all are like catechumens, if you're new Orthodox, I highly recommend you don't watch Roman Catholic priests talk really about anything ever. Just go to the Orthodox sources, learn about this stuff from the true church first, so that way when you do encounter these charlatans, these frauds, these pathological liars, you will be able to compare firm, consistent, coherent, and actually true dogma and doctrine with this absolute nonsense, dude. This like Hollywoodized, fake and gay theology.
We want to know something. We'll actually study a number of different individual things that are like that so we can get a general sense, and then from that we'll abstract a kind of a conceptual understanding of what these things actually are, what their nature actually is. But that's because we use our senses to come to know things, right? And this is why even as human beings we know that if someone is in contact with their senses, we know there's something wrong with them, right? Whereas the angels and also the demons are the exact opposite. All their knowledge was infused. So they know exactly what the essence and nature of every created thing that exists. And this is actually a diagnostic that you can use in session, because we get people that try and fake that they're possessed, and there's a variety of reasons why they do.
Yeah, we get a bunch of fakes. One of them's called Father Chad Ripperger.
That, and so we will. One of the things is if you ask them a technical, theological, or philosophical question, if it's a human being, you can see they have to think about it, and then they'll kind of reason their way through it. That's not how demons work. They'll immediately give you the answer.
Guys, are you taking notes? This is science. This is demonology, dude. This is holy science right now. So like one of our absolute hardcore scientific methods for determining whether or not the human being I'm talking to is actually a demon puppeting a meat suit is I ask him a theological question. And if he got the answer like that, good to go. Good to go, dude. Maybe you should ask him about the filioque. Maybe you should ask him about the essence-energy distinction or absolute divine simplicity and see what the demon says. Maybe just a thought. I don't know.
They're just immediate. They'll just say it's X. And they don't have to think, because for them, all their knowledge is infused, both the concepts, but then as things occur.
Have you ever seen demons answer esoteric questions?
Yes. Yeah. There's been cases, I had a case, it's one that I'm actually working on right now, where...
this is giving like Ed and Lorraine Warren vibes, dude. This is like The Conjuring Part 9.
The demons in this particular case have made...
I had a case. There I was. It was the 3rd of May. She walked into my office. Salty. Smoky. And I knew right away. She had a demon in her.
Theological distinctions that there's no way this person could have ever known those distinctions. And they're, let me give you an example. So
there's just no way. There is no freaking way she could have known that. Dude.
He made the distinction between consummatum est and finitum est, which is a Latin phrase. So consummatum est is that the sacrifice is complete. So in relationship to the sacrifice of Christ, he says consummatum est, and then he gives up his spirit, right? So it's completed. He's finally completed everything that was necessary in order for our full redemption and our full healing and all of that. But it's not finished yet. The finishing occurs once he's buried. So they have to take him down, Our Lady embraces him, and then they put him in the tomb, right? So that he made that distinction. And I'm like, this is one of those indicators that...
Yeah, dude. Definitely a demon. Definitely a demon.
You're not going to see those kinds of distinctions being made by a human being who has never studied theology.
No way, dude. This guy could have never heard that from a Roman Catholic before in his life. It's impossible. It's actually literally impossible.
He says.
And this is not a person who has.
No, nothing. I mean, she finished high school and that's about it.
So, take his word for it, Tucker. Just take his word for it, dude. There's no reason to be skeptical. You're talking to a father.
Seriously.
Yeah. And there's other times when they've made distinctions that are just like, in fact, one time in the Catholic tradition, we actually believe Our Lady was assumed into heaven because she was so pure and so perfect and sinless that God assumed her body into heaven.
All right. Anyways, skipping on. Let's go to the Sean Stone episode now. Let's hear how Tucker and his Protestant paradigm can handle when talking to somebody who is literally from like the furthest thing from a Christian, right? You got a Roman Catholic, okay, fine, maybe they're kind of Christian, right? A little bit Christian. What about somebody that's just like full on New Age woo woo, guru BS? How does the Protestant paradigm deal with, handle someone who's talking about raising your vibration, dude? It's all about the energy, bro. It's all about, you gotta be high vibe, dude. I wonder if Tucker is able to see like this spiritual delusion, prelest, the absence of any sort of coherent faith, and be like, hey, you know, that confusion and that darkness you're in, I have something to offer you, this light, this coherent and, you know, consistent truth, this firm ground to build upon. Or if he's just like, yeah, dude, that sounds right. That sounds right. That fits. I can smush that into my Protestant pie, my Christian pie. I can fit that into my worldview somewhere. Jeff Barry says, this has to be a script from a suspense episode. Dude, he's got suspense on the brain. We've been doing the radio show so dang much, dude. Everybody's got suspense on the brain. Guys, if you like the work I do and you want to support the channel, you can do so via Cash App, PayPal, and Venmo. All Super Chats will be read live. I'm not going to harp on it too much, but I did want to mention it, and I did want to throw it in the chat if I can. I don't even think I have the links saved. Links are in the description if you want. I'm not going to throw it in the chat, but yep, all Super Chats read live, and it's always appreciated. So this is Sean Stone, and you know, Sean Stone, he did stuff with Jay like years ago, obviously, like Oliver Stone, made some good movies. I'm not like trying to hate on Sean Stone or any of these people, but well, you'll see. You'll see. We are going to kick it back up to 2x speed, at least for now, 1.5 speed. We're going to kick it up to ludicrous speed right now.
But just to back to what you initially said about the Masons, so we're about 100 feet from Masonic Lodge. They're all over rural America. Yeah. They're kind of a vestige of the past. This is how I think of them. A bunch of elderly guys with ceremonial swords.
Yeah,
telling stories.
I have one.
You have one. I have one right over there from that lodge. You don't think of them as a threat or even a meaningful player in current events. But then I should say I don't know much about it.
Yeah,
I don't. So really at all. You joined the Masons. Why did you do that, and what was it like?
So it was a journey of initiation, I think, that I was going through at that time, right out of college. Because, you know, in my college years,
I'm on my spiritual journey. I'm on a self-love journey. Guys, I'm in the self-love phase of my spiritual awakening. I'm just on my high vibe journey right now.
I started getting deep into studying history, and you know, even in the Procopius was writing the history of Justinian, right, the Roman emperor, Byzantine emperor, and he described him as a shape-shifting demon, basically, in that book, in The Secret History, and that was buried for a long time. And you know, again, there's all types of histories. That King James was it James's Bible, but he also wrote a demonology book, right? I mean, this was the way that the world was perceived and understood for centuries, as we know.
As a battleground between dark and light.
Yeah, I mean, as forces that were unseen. I mean, Socrates talked about his daemon, like his, you know, what we call genius. But you know, they say like in the old world, there's a theory that when Homer's writing about, you know, the Iliad and about, you know, all these different gods having a play in human life, a lot of people believe that we were in communication more readily with beings, right, unseen beings, and it may have been a real factor in our consciousness back then. And then we, you know, obviously
dude, the barrier between the shadow realm and the earth realm was just thinner back then, dude. It was just thinner. Oh wait, this is Mortal Kombat. I think I got my my New Age mixed up with the Mortal Kombat lore. My
this place of the Enlightenment, when all that becomes relegated, and we say, oh, that's all, you know, hocus pocus and not real. We can only focus on the physical realm. But you can't understand how life begins through the physical realm alone. You can't understand how the universe is formed.
No.
Right? I mean, how does a Big Bang start? You know, it just happens. Okay.
Spontaneous bang.
You know, time travel. I mean, how does it happen? How does it actually begin? Exactly from what? And how does life?
It was a demon.
Begin. So I think a lot of the materialists actually, you could say, like, you know, people say Darwin and whatnot, are essentially serving the dark side because they're saying there's nothing outside the material realm. This is all that exists, and everything, well, actually all we're interfacing with is our own minds,
yes,
our own perceptions. And so when they want us to believe, you know, a very simplified version of reality, spontaneous evolution, random changes, right? Take away anything spiritual. I think that serves the dark side in a sense, because it elevates our own egos. It makes us, you know,
Tucker, you just don't know the power of the dark side, dude. I just got to say that. You don't know the power of the dark side.
Progenitors of this.
I have so many tales from the dark side, I could tell you. I have so many tales from the dark side to tell you.
You know, we are the greatest thing in the universe, and we can get into that later, but that then serves a transhuman agenda that, you know, it's all about perfecting ourselves through the physical plane of genetics, right? Genetic tampering and whatnot. And you try to basically take the spiritual origin impulse of God creating this universe out of the story, right? That's what the Enlightenment did in many ways. But you can't take it out because we instinctively, as souls that we are in human form, we have this curiosity and this desire to know, okay, where did I come from? Like, it can't, you know, my soul didn't just spontaneously appear. How do I have consciousness? Where does consciousness originate from? Just from our brains? Well, I think we're understanding that our brains are more receivers, almost like, you know, computers that can receive the internet that's around us, right? That's the way that we function more in that way. And that's why people have near-death experiences, or they have out-of-body experiences, and this is, the CIA does this kind of stuff, astral projection, and they can see things outside of their physical body that you can't say, well, your brain knew it. You have all kinds of cases and stories of this, people, who are literally on a hospital bed and they can perceive things in the next room. So consciousness transcends our brain, right? And that indicates, again, a spiritual reality that a lot of mainstream science wants us to ignore. But I was like looking at history and saying, no, we've always had this impulse to see a spiritual reality, or what Plato calls like the ideational realm, the world of ideals, before we get to the material realm. So let's not try to ignore that.
So it's rare these days. A company that actually makes things here in the U.S., not just design
Hold
here.
up. We're skipping ahead. Sorry, Tucky.
Things, and I ended up going into, well, I met this guy who was himself a Mason, and he was a Jersey kid who was like my age, and we started. He had been exploring these haunted places. New Jersey is notorious for being haunted. They have a whole magazine called Haunted NJ, right? And not just Jersey, but let's say the East Coast,
But especially New Jersey.
Especially New Jersey, they got some history there. I don't know what it is.
Pretty sure this part coming up was the whole reason I wanted to play this clip.
And so he was exploring these places like Greystone, which was a massive mental hospital. Woody Guthrie was there, for example, and you saw it in the recent Bob Dylan movie. He goes and visits Guthrie at the Greystone Mental Hospital. This place was for 100 years, it was one of the biggest mental hospitals in the country. It was the biggest foundation when they built it, until they built the Pentagon after. So it was a massive, we went to this place at night, and even though it was shut down, it was still, the lights were still on. And it's about 5 or 6 stories tall, and underground there's tunnels and passages that go on for miles around.
Did he say tunnels? Did somebody say tunnels?
So we would go explore this place at night. And let's just say that high strangeness ensued because he started.
It's an abandoned mental hospital in New Jersey.
Yeah. It's an abandoned mental hospital in Jersey.
Dude, some spooky stuff went down. Some stuff that was downright eerie just happened.
And so from the first time that we went there and then went back, and each time it would just, different things would reveal themselves to me in a way that I made a film about it, Greystone Park, to kind of symbolize the way that fear operates to me. I believe that our frequency attracts forces. And so when you go into a place like that where thousands of people have died, they had like a mass grave, basically, of, thousands of people that had died there over the course of 100 years. And there'd been a lot of abuse. And I think also people go into this place, or you would go into that place, who are themselves, we call mentally ill, but a lot of them I think were demon possessed.
Yes.
And so imagine it's now becoming a place of very dark energy. And
hard to imagine anything darker than that.
Right.
Really.
Yeah. And so what we saw was like indications, paraphernalia, books, things like this left behind of like satanic rituals, like people.
Yeah, dude. Like, you're never going to believe this, bro. Okay, we went into this abandoned building. We saw a pentagram in red spray paint on the walls, dude. I found a Michelob Ultra can crushed up in the corner and some cigarette butts laying around. And I even saw an anarchy sign spray painted on the wall, bro.
Would go there and
it was freaking creepy.
Perform rituals to draw upon that energy. And
why would someone do that?
Well, so this gets into the nature of this realm, right? If we, again, like we understand, like material realm is what we see and what we interact with, what we think we're interacting with. But as we know, at heart, it's all energy. Like this table is moving particles, right? Our being we're moving particles, moving atoms. We're energetic bodies that, appear to be fixed, but actually, as we know, we're changing every second, every day. Our, where cells are dying and being reborn. Our energy body is moving, and so the spiritual traditions have always understood that because they didn't call it necessarily energy, but prana and life force, breath, ruach.
Just the spiritual traditions, because like really when you get down to it, it's just like you got the light side and you got the dark side, and it's all just like energy, and like all of the spiritual traditions of like all the ages, right? They all had this secret, and that secret was that we're all one, bro, and it's all just energy. And it's like, and Tucker's like, yeah, dude, yeah, dude, totally, that's Christianity. You're literally telling me what I already know. It's like, that's Gnosticism, bro. That's gay. Like, It's frustrating. It's frustrating, dude.
right? Like that's the origin of creation, is something in spirit is moving through us into this container, this vessel that, you know, that appears fixed. But again,
dude,
as we know,
this vessel. It's just like, I'm just like a vessel. I'm just like a person that, I'm not going to say it. Okay, I had a joke. I'm not going to say it. We got girls in the chat. I want to say it so bad. I'm not going to say it.
it's changing. That's why we don't look the same every day, even if it's just slight differences. And as you know, like you can see in people's, you can kind of see it sometimes, right? Like you can see when someone's energetically drained. You can see when someone's energy is high and they're vibrant.
Instantly.
Yo,
So this
guys, honestly, be honest with me right now. How's my energy? How's my energy? Just tell me, okay? Am I spiritually drained? Is my vibe high? Is it low? I need you guys to be for real, okay? You can see it, right? You can just tell when you look at a person, like high vibe, low vibe. Spiritually drained? Spiritually ripping, dude. This guy's spiritually ripping right now. Like, honestly, like, you know, you're sitting in front of Saint Mary of Egypt, who spent, 47 years fasting in the desert. Looks like a wraith. I bet you could just look at her and be like, she's all messed up, dude. Clearly this lady's low vibe, dude. You've been fasting in the desert for 47 years. You look like a mess, dude. This lady's low vibe, dude. Low vibe. You can just tell, dude. Like, well, I can just tell. I'm super, like, spiritual. Tucker, did I tell you? I'm like, dude, I'm really spiritual. I meditate. I didn't want to say that. I didn't want to tell you. I didn't want to say that, but I do on occasion partake a little bit of meditation, okay? I've been known to raise the frequency just a little bit. Like, when you're like hanging out with your buds and you're like passing around the doobie and you're like, this is awesome, dude. The vibe is so good. What we're really doing in that moment is we're fighting the dark side. Okay. We are basically what is essentially light workers, and we're just fighting the forces of evil because we're raising the vibe. We're just keeping it light, keeping it cheery, keeping it happy.
this is the energetic nature of reality. So if we are talking about a world that also is energetic and alive, and then you have geometry, let's say certain structures trap energy more than others, right? I mean, if you're outdoors, and I mean, we can just experience it, right? You're out in nature, you're in a forest, the trees are going to have certain energy. It's gonna move, maybe like in the course, they are living beings, right? So they'll live their life and die. And that's why some forests are called haunted forests or darker, they're darker places. And sometimes you'll have you'll have places where there'll be gatherings of people to practice.
I'm crashing out right now, guys. I'm crashing out.
Since
I'm crashing
the pagan times,
out.
let's say, right? To practice different rituals. And sometimes you'll feel the energy of that. Like, oh, this is a place where, there's a gathering that takes place and a certain energy gets created there. Same way as like a building. I mean, that's what a haunted house is, right? Like if you're in a house and it's, someone gets murdered, it's going to have a heavier energy, right?
Yes.
Because it hasn't, unless you come and
If somebody gets murdered in the house, low vibe all day.
bless it and really, I don't know, do the right energy, do the work to move the
Okay, right there. That's why I wanted to play this, right? I was listening to this at work today, and I was like, oh boy, dude. Oh boy. Yeah, so you know how just picture this, right? I go into this house, and this dude killed his whole family, right? So I'm like, this place, the vibe is off. The vibe is dark. It is just a dark place. So I go in there, and we gotta fix this, right? There's this haunted house where a bunch of people were murdered. So I'm gonna fix this, dude. I'm gonna cleanse this place. So I do the thing, what's the thing? Oh, I burned some sage. Me being there, really just me being there, because I'm so high vibe, it just cleanses the building, and it just takes it from this pit of darkness into this. I mean, honestly, dude, you could just you could start a family in that home now. It's perfect. I've made it perfect.
unless you come and bless it and really, I don't know, do the right energy, do the work to move the energy through, to let it pass, right? To let the souls go.
Yeah, I've personally escorted souls to the other side. They were a little gunked up. It was like a clog, like if you get a clog in the drain, you know? So I personally had to go in there and I just had to escort the souls to the other side, dude. Call this nigga Chiron because he's over here passing people to the other side.
And
dude.
I know I had that experience with one of the haunted places I went to. It was like a place that was notorious. It was next to a mental hospital where kids were housed, and this was upstate New York. This was different from Greystone. And in that house next to the mental hospital for kids, the legend has it that a priest that was molesting these kids at that property and actually killing some of the kids and doing black magic. And in that house, I saw people get possessed, and we heard the sounds of hell, like coming from. I mean, it's hard to imagine, but this is what we experienced.
What?
We'd be upstairs.
Say what? Say what now? We heard the sounds of hell? Okay, Mr. Sean Stone, do tell. Please, do tell. When you went into this place to bless it, this place where children were molested, people were murdered, and Sean Stone, in his wisdom, in his high vibration, in his immaculate state, he went in there and he did the things, the spiritual things, the things you got to do, cleanse the vibe, escort souls to the nether realm, you know what I mean? The things that Sean Stone does. And he heard the sounds of hell. He heard the demonic laughter. I mean, like, how do you hear this and you not say, like, back up a minute? Oh, what? you heard the... Explain that to me. Like, did you get it on audio tape? Did you record it? I mean, that's kind of crazy. This is the same sort of Pentecostal vibes that we were getting from the other video that we just watched. Is a little silly. Yo, K-Ram in the house. What's up, dude? Good to see you, K-Ram. Good to see ya. Shouts out. Birds aren't real. Shouts out, Jesky. Shouts out, Jason. Shouts out all the homies in the chat. K-Ram, today we are going through Tucker Carlson, and we are basically examining the Protestant worldview and using Tucker Carlson as our vehicle to go through all of these different things. We're kind of close to the end of tonight's stream. We've been at it for a little while now. And we are seeing how the Protestant paradigm holds up. The Protestant paradigm within Tucker, as he sits here and he is in the presence of all of these very non-Christian things. And does that worldview, does that provide a sort of a strong foundation for Tucker to say, hey, what you're saying is not Christian? Or does he do the Protestant thing, which is that it's all good. We're all just brothers in this big old spiritual tradition. It's all just light versus dark.
And
I bet you know which one he
all of a sudden we'd hear howling of dogs and laughter of like demonic laughter.
We heard hellhounds, bro. You ever play Call of Duty, dude? It was like that. You ever play Nazi Zombies, dude? It was just like that. Fetch me their souls. I kid you not, we heard fetch me their souls.
Laughter and things like this echoing through the house.
I was like, this is going to take so much sage. This is going to take more sage than I have in my fanny pack right now to clear out. I'm going to need to go stop at the frickin' witch shop, dude. I'm going to have to go get more sage for this place. Too many kids were diddled here, dude. Sean Stone, as powerful and spiritual as I am. Look, dude, a guy's only got so much sage with him, okay, at a given time, dude. A guy's only got so much sage. I can only meditate for so long.
And so we went back multiple times and we blessed the house. And the final time really felt a purging of energy. And the house burned.
I felt the purging of energy deep down. You know what I mean? I was standing in this house and I felt such a purging of energy, dude. I honestly, I can't even look. I'm a gentleman. I'm not gonna sit here and talk about it. But all you need to know is that energy got purged, dude.
Down.
Hardcore.
Within about a month or two. So that's the kind of thing we talk about, like the energy that gets trapped in places until you come with higher frequency of blessing a place and clearing the energy. So again, we're talking of a battle of dark and light, those forces that draw upon dark energy, because they
Bro,
can.
dude, I can't. I'm crashing out, dude. This is taking me back to like 2020 when we did our cringe streams and we were watching like freaking Spiritual Soul, dude. Honestly, Spiritual Soul was more entertaining than this. When we were watching freaking what was that hippie dude? The freaking High Vibration dude. I don't even remember his name. It was so long ago. But shouts out to Jason, he remembers. Shouts out to Jethro, he remembers. Our old school cringe streams where we used to watch these hippies talking nonsense, dude. And it makes me sad because Sean Stone, you know, is like he's done with stuff with Jay. Like I want to be cool with the man. But you know, if he had somebody that knew their stuff, they could in a brotherly love way be like, yo, dude, this is actually Gnosticism and this is actually super lame and here's why. You know, it's so again, the whole point of this stream is not to point and laugh. I said I was going to be charitable. And I feel bad because I haven't been charitable. I have been pointing and laughing, and that's not right. Okay, that's not right. That's why we don't do the cringe streams anymore because I don't want to be a jerk. The whole point of the show was to illustrate why Protestantism is just not equipped to handle this stuff. It's why our country is being overrun by Islam and feminism and liberalism and all of these evil, soul corrupting and soul destroying things, because the Protestant worldview is not equipped to handle it because they really, at the end of the day, don't know, don't believe. They believe, but they can't think too hard about what they believe. They believe, but they can't ask certain questions. And when they're confronted with a alternate view, they can't actually say, this is wrong. And so, like what I was saying earlier, like, no Protestant can give you an objective reason why Mormonism or Universalist Unitarianism is wrong. They don't even believe Jesus is God. You ask them like, well, then what is it to be a Christian? Oh, well, you got to believe Jesus is God and you got to believe, you know, the Bible. It's like, okay, well, the Unitarians say they believe the Bible. Like, are they Christian? And if they're honest, they'll just have to tell you, I don't know. I don't know. That's crazy. That's crazy that as a Christian, you can literally sit here and say, I'm a Christian. I believe in Jesus. I believe Jesus is the truth, that he revealed himself to humanity. He revealed the fullness of truth to humanity. But I cannot tell you for sure, and I certainly can't tell you why, someone who believes that Jesus Christ is not actually God is or is not a Christian. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. And in the place that we are in America right now, like, we literally don't have the luxury. We don't have the luxury. It's like, this is Christianity. This is what Christ gave us. You either submit to it and accept it, and you put on the shield of you know what I mean? You put on the full armor of God, or you don't. Lord have mercy, dude. It's funny, you know, but it's also like not funny, because we don't call Protestantism an atheist factory for nothing, dude. It's limp-wristed, fangless, and toothless Christianity. K-Ram says, EPL, thanks for catching me up to speed. I was cooking some dinner. What are we having, dude? What are you making for everybody, K-Ram? I literally rushed home. I rushed home to do this stream because I'm working night shifts right now, and it's brutal because I never want to do the show, but I'm like, I got to do this, dude. I've been wanting to do this stream for months. So I haven't gotten to eat yet. So you're kind of making me a little jealous, but I'm not gonna take it personally, but I do want to know, what are we having for dinner? A purge, sir. You just use the lavatory, says Randy. Randy says the only way to shame them is to point and laugh at this point, hence why Jay is successful. Yeah, that's kind of true. Birds Aren't Real says, do you think they gotta play the instruments for hellscape music, or maybe it's baked into the environment? I think probably, dude. There's probably some tambourines in there. There's probably some triangles going on. You know, get a little bit of triangle action. And I would like to think that there might be an ocarina or two, a little flute or something. I would like to think. I would like to think that if you gotta burn in hell, like, there's at least some sort of orchestral arrangement that could make it a little less bad. Karam spaghetti and meatballs, that'll do. That will absolutely do.
Invoke spirit, let's say darker spirits, that hooks into that. If everything is, let's say, like frequency, fear, you know, things that are horrific.
Hey, nobody said spaghetti and meatballs weren't exciting. Okay, I'm sorry. I should have reacted better. I should have been like, "Fuck yeah, spaghetti and meatballs, let's go, dude." I gotta stop swearing so much, dude. I'm sitting here. I'm wearing a shirt with the Theotokos. Please forgive me. That's like I said in the beginning of the stream. All right, I'm a sinner, so forgive me. I swear a lot. All right, smoke cigarettes. I'm a bad person. I should have said yes. Let's go. Spaghetti and meatballs, my favorite. Thank you.
Horror films
I
play into
actually
the
do love
psychology,
spaghetti and
right?
meatballs.
It's like Freddy Krueger, right? He preys upon, he's a dream demon, right?
It's just
he
like the
infects
movies, dude. Yeah, the demons were basically like Freddy Krueger.
people with fear. And we think about how like demons are what? They're scary, right? They're monstrous, they're shadows, they're things that that create fear in us. And then it seems to be like the frequency match. Almost.
No. Hollywood says demons are scary. Demons are not scary. Demons are a lot of things. Scary is not one of them. Demons are pathetic. They are repulsive, disgusting. They are evil. They're not scary. Not scary. Like, think about this. Like, you're walking down the road and you see a rotting animal carcass with like maggots in it or something. Forgive me for those eating dinner. Are you scared or are you disgusted? The disgusted response is the response to the demonic, not scary. Certainly not to a Christian. Now, would a demon want to scare you? Yeah. But they're pathetic and they're disgusting. They're not scary.
Do you think that's one of the reasons that Jesus so often tells his disciples not to be afraid?
Yes, that's exactly right. So remember when Jesus casts out the demons,
Jesus
he
does
sends them
not
into the
tell
swamp.
his disciples not to be afraid because of the scary demon monsters that they're going to be dealing with. No, it's not. He tells them not to be afraid because of their impending martyrdom, because of the fact that they're going to have to face death and torture for the truth. He tells, be not afraid when the angels come in God's glory and power. That's scary. God's scary. The demons are not scary. And God did not tell his disciples, don't be scared because of the scary demon Freddy Krueger monsters that you're going to be fighting. Like a Hollywood movie, you're going to be battling it out. Because spiritual warfare is not battling the passions. It's not battling your sins. It's not every day, day in and day out, waking up and saying your prayer rule, going to work. Somebody's being a jerk to you, and you have to take that. Take that humiliation. Take that indignity, and you let it go, and you love that person. Even though you want to be like, oh, F you, bro. Screw you, dude. But you feel that anger, and you go, Lord, have mercy on me, a sinner. I deserve to be treated with indignity. I deserve this anger. I shouldn't let that color my view of this person who's in front of me, who is a child of God. I'm looking at Christ right now in the face of this person. And Lord, have mercy on me. Let me be extra kind to this person. See, that's not spiritual warfare, right? You go on with your day, you deal with all of your sins and problems and your mistakes, and at the end of the night, you go back to the icon corner. You do your prayer rule. You ask God to forgive you of all the sins that you've committed that day in knowledge and in ignorance. Whether you did it, on purpose or whether you did it because you're a moron. And then on Saturday you go to church and you confess all of those things that you'd rather keep inside. You literally reveal them all to the priest. You put them on the altar to Christ. And you say, here I am, God, in all of my brokenness. This is all of the stuff that I've done, even though you've given me everything. I still choose sin over you every day like Judas. And then God takes it and he removes it from you and he washes the slate clean again and he makes you perfect as Christians are commanded to be. Then you mystically unite with the body and blood of Christ and then you get up and try again. That's not spiritual warfare. Spiritual warfare is actually when you go into a haunted house, bro, and you know it's haunted because there's a pentagram on the wall. There's a pentagram, some teenagers spray painted on the wall. And then you blast the highest vibe music you can. So like Grateful Dead, obviously. Fish, obviously. Billy Strings, hello. I mean, is there a more high vibe freaking band than Billy Strings, dude? You blast some high vibe music. You pass the J around with your bros. You party it up. You bring some of that high vibes to the space. And then a demon comes out and you hear the howling of hell and you get ready for a katana anime battle of the wits with the demons, dude. That's spiritual warfare. Come on.
Right.
Can I get a hell
yeah? Get them out, get out of the human
kill themselves.
vessel, and they go and kill themselves because a lot of the demonic, I mean, again, there's different frequency of demonic energy. There's madness. A lot of psychosis we have experiencing in this country, I think, connects to it. A lot of it ties into alcohol and drugs. That's, lowering people's frequency. It's one thing to have, a glass or two, but as we know, a lot of alcohol, what does it do? It takes us out of our right mind. In my experience of seeing people get possessed, it's pretty much like seeing someone's, when someone's out of blackout drunk, and we've all seen it. Someone's coked up or out of their mind on with alcohol, and they behave erratically, irrationally. They get aggressive, they get mean, or they start laughing hysterically.
Yeah, that's a good example of a demon. That is actually a good example of a demon.
And the next day, they may not remember anything. It's exactly what possession is.
Yeah.
Because when you see someone get possessed,
hallelujah, you said something I agree with.
They just like it's like a flip of a switch, and they go from someone you can see, look in the eyes and see what they are, to just checked out. I've seen people screaming. I've seen people laughing maniacally. I've seen just check out, like just staring.
So you've identified the problem, evil, sin. But what you can't do is give the solution, because your best solution was literally raise the vibe.
Staring blankly. But
and Tucker,
you know it.
The Christian in the room is not like, yeah, that's sin, and here's, that's the problem, right? That's the source of all evil in the world. That's the source of everything bad in the world is sin, our unwillingness to submit to God and to do what's best for us and for our neighbors. Like, and this is why Jesus Christ incarnated into the world and showed us the way, Mr. Stone. This is why it's the way. The Christian in the room is not shining the light. He's not, calling the sinners to repentance. He's not saying, you realize, like, God has come to earth and given us the roadmap to how to deal with this stuff. He's sitting there going, yeah, dude, totally. What's that you said about evil forces and, like, the light and dark? Yes. We can't afford this anymore, y'all. Not now. It's too late, dude. The hour is too late. In America, in the entire Western world, in the world in general, hour is way too late to be playing this freaking footsie with evil.
Person's not in their right mind.
Yes.
And the key is to try to bring the light back, breathe, bring the good energy back, raise the frequency, so they can come back to their selves. So.
Sorry, let's back that up. I'm sorry. He just gave us the solution, and I slept on it.
Not in their right mind.
Yes.
And the key is to try to bring the light back, breathe, bring good energy back, raise the.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. The key is to. You just gotta go. You gotta bring that vibe up. Hey, bro, I know you're dealing with like a hardcore cocaine addiction. I know, you had a wife and kids, and you're drinking every night. You got drunk, blackout drunk. You cheated on your wife. Now she won't even look at you. She took the kids. She left. I get it. But all you got to do is, you just got to raise that vibe, dude. Got to raise that vibe just a little bit.
Raise the frequency, so they can come back to their selves. So what I would say this battle is between the darkness that, again, feeds on that fear, that lower vibrational, psyche of, like, not being in our right mind, not being in our higher selves, right? Not being connected to our spirit, our higher, to God, basically, right? To spirit that is always available. But the dark side wants to lower that frequency to a place that would be closer to hell, right? What it's always been described as hell, a place of torture, of suffering, of pain.
Place of the dead.
Yeah. Well, even worse than death, right? Death is one thing. Go below that, and it's like, that's the level of self-destruction, like you said with the pigs, self-destructiveness. So this is the battle. And again, if the dark side has, waged war on mankind, let's say, right? If we believe, and this is not just Christian tradition. I mean, this is like
It's a lot of story there is.
Yeah, dude. Let's all hear Sean Stone tell us what the Christian tradition is.
A lot of stories around the world have talked about this, that there's something that's waging war on mankind.
Yeah, dude. It's the aliens, dude. It's the low vibe aliens, bro. They're after our Lucky Charms, dude. They're after our little beeholes. They're trying to frickin' probe us, dude. It's not good. It's not good. It's the oldest story. It's really just the never-ending story, honestly. It's the land before time.
They want
it's a little dinosaur
possession
movie.
of the soul. They want us to check out, to surrender, right? To check out, say, hand over control of the vehicle. And that seems to be the real battle, right? Are we autonomous beings? We have control over.
They don't want you to hand over control of the vehicle. They want you to kill yourself. They want you to kill yourself. That's the goal. Because God gave you life. They want you to give up that eternal life that you can have with Christ. And so they want you to kill yourself. And so they eventually wrest control of your own self away from you through the passions and through the sins. Why? Is it because they want a meat suit to drive around? No, it's because they want you to be destroyed. They want you to be destroyed. They want to kill you. More specifically, they want you to kill yourself. It's not about your frickin' body, bro.
Vehicles. I mean, we all experienced this during COVID. Imagine, all this seems so far out, but during COVID, we actively saw people checked out from fear and dead things, putting on masks so they can't even really breathe. They can't. In a court of law, you can't speak if you've got a mask on, right? So you don't have any say. So when you put a mask on, you're basically taking away your power to speak and to breathe. So you're like a dead thing now. And then beyond that.
All right. Anyway, so this is all great fodder for my show, and I love it. And it's really low hanging fruit. It's easy. I could sit here for hours just making fun of people, but I really have tried not to do that. And I get that it's good entertainment. See, we got 18 people here. And these shows were very popular when I was doing them, and I knew that, hey, I could keep doing this and keep growing the channel and doing these popular things, but I am a sinner. I'm a sinful person, and I'm a jerk. I can be a jerk a lot of times, if you guys haven't noticed. It's very easy. It comes naturally to me. I could be a big old a-hole. And while it's funny, it's really not good. I love Sean Stone. I hope nothing but the best for him. And I did this show not to make fun, but to just point out that Protestantism it's just not it. And to use these clips, and Tucky, our buddy Tucky, as an example. I'm not saying it's always wrong to make fun of people. I love, our homies that do the shows, and they do a better job than I could ever do, doing the little cringe stream stuff. But if you wonder why I do my little radio shows, and it's because I'm really trying not to be a jerk, and I'm really trying to just, be charitable and be loving, and not in a fake piety signal way, but in a way where, I can not, inflate my own ego and pride and make fun of it. So hopefully I was able to do a little bit of good during this show and just sort of give some examples of hey, this is what Protestantism is. This is what it allows. This is what this is what it equips you for, to sit in a room with somebody that's saying something that is the exact opposite of Christianity, and you having absolutely no ability or tools or experience or knowledge at all to say, that's not right. That's literally the opposite of what's taught by Christ. That was the goal. So I'm still trying to figure out what kind of content I can do on here that won't destroy my soul, but we'll figure it out. All I know is the radio shows don't destroy my soul. I can get through an entire radio show without being a jerk. So may God have mercy on me, and love you guys. Thank you all so much for hanging out with us. I think it went good. I think it was a good show. Fun show. Love y'all. Until next time, I guess we'll sign off now. I know K-Ram's got her spaghetti and meatballs to eat. So hopefully y'all got your own versions of spaghetti and meatballs. I'm going to sit here and pretend like I'm eating spaghetti and meatballs. I'm going to go make something. I don't know what I'm going to eat. Here it is 12:30 a.m. I got to be up for work in 10 hours. If you like the show, please like and share. You can support my work through Cash App, PayPal, and Venmo. All super chats are always read live unless they're sent in after the show. Then you're out of luck, dude. I can't read them. Can't read them live after the show's gone live. There is Patreon. You can support me over on Patreon. And you can come join us when we do our radio shows and be doing it up, dude. Do it up with us. They're good. KRM says it's gone. Damn, that was fast. That's awesome, dude. Just fucking got it done, dude. That's how I am. I get it done, dude. I was freaking... I made something to eat before Vespers this week. And we had, I think, 3 minutes. And I'm like, I got 3 minutes before I got to leave. And the food was done. And I literally just freaking shoveled it down. 3 minutes flat. Eating like a soldier, dude. At least with you probably had about 25 minutes. I got that shit done in 3 minutes flat. I was so proud. I was like, dude, I eat so fast. I eat so fast. Nobody eats as fast as me, dude. I'm the fastest eater in the West. Anyways, love you guys. Hope everything is well wherever you are. And all I can say is I hope that somehow, some way, God can use me to reach some of my Protestant friends and family to say, hey, there's a better way. There is a strong, coherent, and consistent foundation to the Christian belief. There are actual answers to these questions. There is the ability that God has given us to say, this is Christian, this is what God gave us, this is not Christian, this is the opposite of what God gave us. Because it would really help us in America right now, as Islam is hoovering up everybody, to be able to say, that's fake and gay, that's retarded, and here's why. And that's why we love our homie Jay Dyer. That's why we love our homie Jim Bob. That's why we love our homie Dr. David Patrick Harry, because they consistently are able to present that message. And all of our homies, dude. Kyle, shouts out to Kyle, Orthodox Kyle. He's the man, dude. We love Orthodox Kyle. We love all our Orthodox homies, because they're constantly presenting the Christian position in a way that is accurate, that accurately represents the revealed truth, and which helps call us all to a deeper knowledge of God through the church. Like K-Ram says right here, Jesus Christ is the only way. It's so true. And the church is where we go to encounter the living God directly. And no facsimiles should be accepted in its place. No mimicries of the true thing, of the real thing, should be accepted in its place. You got to get the real deal, dude. It's the real deal is where it's at. I'm trying to think if there was anything else I wanted to say before we wrap up. That's it. Pray for me, a sinner. Pray for each other, guys. And until next time, Lil Ewok signing off. God bless and peace out, y'all.